So today, we're going to break down something that many of us do every single day, maybe without even thinking about it, the morning news briefing. We're going to get into how it's put together, why it's so effective, and honestly, what it might tell us about the future of news. Okay, so picture this. It's morning. You pick up your phone and boom, you're just swimming in this ocean of notifications, breaking news alerts, and that never-ending social media feed. It's a lot. So how in the world are you supposed to find what actually matters in all that noise? And that right there is where the morning news briefing comes in. It's kind of like a lifeline. And our source material actually defines it really simply as a quick summary of the top 10 most important headlines of the day. The whole point isn't to bury you in details, it's to give you a smart, curated snapshot to get your day started. All right, so what's the secret sauce here? What makes this whole thing tick? How do they pick just 10 stories and get them to you so efficiently? Let's pull back the curtain and really look at the anatomy of a briefing. It all comes back to this one number, 10. Seriously, that's the core of the whole thing. It's a promise. It's not infinite. It feels like something you can actually finish. In a world of endless scrolling, a simple number like 10 gives you this amazing feeling of being caught up and in control. And get this, the words our source uses to describe it are pretty telling: quick, crisp, and reliable. Now, these aren't just fancy marketing words. They're promising you a very specific feeling, one that's efficient, to the point, and trustworthy, especially when so much other information out there feels like, well, chaos. But what kind of stories actually make the cut? It's not just 10 random things that happened. As you're about to see, the headlines are often grouped together by theme to give you this complete picture of the world. And it usually starts with something we all think about: our money. A lot of these briefings start with the economy. And that makes a ton of sense. It gives you the financial vibe for the day, covering the markets, business news, and policies that could affect everything from your savings to your daily budget. So you get this really great mix, right? You got the huge, big picture stuff like a government relief package or what global markets are doing, but then it gets personal with things like fuel prices and even gives you a peek into what's next, like funding for tech startups. It's a whole economic checkup in just a few bullet points. Okay, so after we've checked the pulse of the economy, the briefing usually zooms out a bit to look at national affairs. This is where you get the rundown on the big political and social conversations that are really defining the day for the whole country. And this is where you'll see things like major debates happening in parliament or new rules for schools and colleges. These are the stories about how the country is run, the kind of stuff that shapes the world we live in, whether we're paying close attention to it or not. And now we get to the part that's maybe the most practical. The last group of headlines usually brings all that big news right down to your day-to-day routine. It's all about answering that one simple question. So what does this mean for me today? I mean, should you grab an umbrella? Is traffic going to be a nightmare on your way to work? And hey, is there a big game on tonight? These headlines are all about giving you info you can act on right away. It's super clever, right? It makes the news something you don't just know, but something you actually use.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how of it. But that just leads us to the biggest question of all: why? What is it about this simple, stripped-down format that makes it so incredibly popular? Let's get into the art of its simplicity.
I mean, seriously, think about it. We live in a world with endless documentaries, super long articles. We can get any information we want, anytime. So why is this little 10-point list so darn popular? Why is less suddenly so much more?
The source material really nails why this works so well. First off, it knows you're busy. It respects your time. Second, it gives you that bird's eye view you need. Third, and this one is huge, it basically gives you permission not to read every single long article out there. And finally, it's all built from the ground up for people on the go. This isn't just news. It's news that's been perfectly optimized for how we live today. So when you step back and look at all this, you can't help but wonder, is this focus on being short, sweet, and to the point just some passing trend? Or are we actually getting a glimpse into the future of news itself? And this quote from the author of our source material just hits the nail on the head. See, this isn't about making the news dumber or simpler. It's about making it sharper. It's about making it high impact and building it specifically for an audience that just doesn't have time to waste. Which leaves us with one final big idea to chew on. In a world where there's just this constant flood of information, opinions, and updates coming at us 24/7, maybe the most important thing a news source can give us isn't more information, but less. So here's the question. In an age of endless information, is having someone expertly pick out what matters, is that the new definition of clarity?